Hello and welcome to the Q&A for Cooper's Bar. I am Director of Programming Claire Taylor, and I'm so excited to have the creative team from Cooper's Bar here with us in this virtual space as representatives from the Digital Short Series competition this year, which has 18 selections in it. So if you're watching this block, you are truly binging all the programming that you can possibly get in, which is great. Oh yes, special guest already. I love these Q&As.
The key creative member was Alfredo's dog. Couldn't have done it without him or her.
Well, I want to quickly start out with a shout out to Nick because he is a SeriesFest alumni. So this is his second project in competition with us. And the first was in, was it season 3? Halfway there?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. With Blythe Danner and Matthew Lillard. And I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, it was super fun, and I'm so glad that we're coming back. It really is such a great festival, and when I was there, a couple of years ago, I just remember being so really impressed by all the other shows that I got to see while I was there, and just like getting to meet so many cool and talented filmmakers and creators. It was really it's a very special festival.
Well,
So,
thank you.
Thanks for having us back.
Yes, of course. I mean, we wish we could all be together in Denver and I could show off magical things like Red Rocks, but instead I'm going to show off the magic of Zoom in this world, which is not quite as impressive. But so I want to jump into some questions, and I guess my first question is Cooper's Bar open during quarantine or?
Lou, I think you have to answer that.
No. It was a place where I had this backyard that was a mess, and I started stringing lights to kind of get the attention off how bad it was, and then it became this whole deal of fixing it up and putting up more lights and more, and gave me a bar. And then, so I invited David and Hannah over, and they loved it. And David kept saying, we got to do something in this bar, this backyard, somewhere. We got to do something. I don't know what. And we talked about it, and it became what you saw, became Cooper's Bar.
It's amazing. We're the characters. I mean, obviously, you are real people, and we've got David. Also, was in the pilot as well. Were they based on real people that live in the neighborhood, and like how much inspiration was pulled into real life, from the page to the screen?
Dave.
Oh, yeah, over to me. Yeah, I mean, when we used to go around there was always some characters, should we say, hanging out the bar, who I'm great friends with. There was, and we used to just shoot the breeze. And then we will go to this boot camp together where there's an even bigger mix of people. That's where we all met, basically, as we said earlier on. Like one day, Lou and me were doing push-ups, going, what are we doing here? And then he goes, oh, I hear you're a comedian. I went, yeah. And then I said, what do you do? He goes, oh, I'm on a TV show. And I went along, I remember driving past Warner Brothers and seeing a massive picture of Luke. That's the guy that I do push-ups with. On this TV show.
Yeah.
And then we would be hanging out at night, and then we'd be having all these sort of strange people would be coming over. I mean, when I say strange, I'm counting myself. And then all these other people, some of them from boot camp, somebody from, there was some executives coming over, and a Grit would come over. And then at one point, somebody actually collapsed in the backyard, and we thought, oh no. And we actually thought we were just standing there drunk going, oh no, that's ruined it.
That's where the line came from.
Yeah,
his chest is like a garbage can.
We were just feeling around this body going, oh, eventually he got up, so he walked out. But we went, oh, that's all right. And I think that we went, that's a show.
Yes, I love that.
So we wrote it.
Amazing. Well, it's a lot of characters to fit into 7 minutes. And I know, Nick, like your first pilot you had with us was, I think it was a little bit longer, like 30 to 45 minutes from what I remember.
Sure.
And so what was it like, introducing so many different characters so quickly, and why make the choice to tell it comes in under 8 minutes? So I think that's maybe a question for, you guys on the creative team, and then Alfredo as a director, doing that in such a confined space.
It's interesting that I hadn't thought about the similarities to Halfway There, but I mean, there was that challenge where in Halfway There, we often had 8 characters in one room, and you had to sort of service all of their stories. And, it's a little bit like building a puzzle in some ways, like how does the piece that you introduce at the start fit with the piece that, comes together in the end. And, certainly a lot of that stuff came together. We did a reading with Lou and Ray and Casey, and everyone had ideas about jokes and stuff. And it's funny how those jokes end out becoming plot points that actually service the story. So sometimes you're like, oh well, in order to get from point A to point C, we need a B character, and then it's a bar, so there's got to be a lot of people around. And I think it was just kind of like a natural evolution. And then because we're only in one location the whole time, it felt like it's got to be kind of bite-sized pieces, that like to try to have each episode have a beginning, a middle, and an end with some sort of inciting incident, a twist, and a surprise. But the limits of a single location kind of makes it difficult to go beyond 8 minutes. And also, we're only shooting for, 1 day. So there's not room for costume changes or, they're just, they're and all those limitations they're challenges that ultimately can whether they say necessity is the mother of invention. So, some great stuff comes out of that. And, it's a real tribute to Alfredo that we were able to actually get it all done, and have it sing, So I don't know, Alfredo, maybe you can talk a little bit to the challenges of the day and,
Definitely. That's so interesting that you guys did it all in one day, all in one location. It's truly like a contained short in such an impressive way. Yeah. Anything about how the difficulties of that, or the fun and surprising parts of it?
Well, I mean, Claire, you heard the story, where the story came from. I mean, when I heard that from Hannah and David and then Nick, and then I met Lou, I remember Hannah said, you should meet Lou. And we went to meet him. I think we just showed up at his bar, essentially.
The bar, yeah.
And then suddenly, a couple of people came in and out. And I remember Lou saying, I don't know who that was. I mean, he served them and they got out. So I was like, okay. And he didn't charge. So it was becoming like a phenomenon, that was, I think, greater than his original idea. So I don't know. I thought he was very funny. When I heard from Dave the idea where it came from, I thought that was hilarious. From there on, I think it just kind of told itself. We put it together with that was really cool, with actors basically everybody knew. So it was an easy family right away from the get-go.
You and might want to mention that Ray is in the boot camp as well.
Yes.
The boot camp also got to be an idea for a show like this.
Yeah.
I'll let Hannah take that one. That was.
It's funny. I mean, Alfredo, one thing that you mentioned that struck me, that like every time we went, every creative meeting we had was in Lou's bar, right? So, and every time you'd show up, Lou would have made us like there'd be this amazing spread, whether that sort of met everyone's dietary needs as well. And then and there would be some random people, and you know, once we sort of settled down to business, they would usually leave, you know, but like, there was definitely like, as the show goes on, like, and the guys, the show within the show starts to sort of come together, and Lou's bar sorts to, or Cooper's bar as it's known in the show, finds its own life. Like
different.
everything happens in the bar, and even though that seems unlikely, that was our experience making the show. Was that like whenever we met, we'd meet there, you know, and there'd be random people there, and we'd have to sort of, you know, and Lou would still be sort of hosting his bar as though, you know, in his kind of homemade kind of way. So
yeah, see, that was the seed of it, because I must admit, you know, the Atwater neighborhood, I have met some really great fringe characters, and they come and visit the backyard. So that's when David said, man, Lou, these are like ongoing characters.
Brilliant.
And then David had told me in boot camp, then he said, you know, I made 2 films, and him and Hannah made these films, and I watched them and I loved them. And then I thought, well, Dave, you know, it's close to me, but it would be better a voice kind of from the outside, opposed to me going, oh, this. So I said, why don't you write something? And he said, all right, I'll call Nick and we'll write something. And it came back, and it was like, it just worked really nicely, you know. And we were beating, you know, that's why I have to say, we were beating the sunrise. We were going, oh, Jesus, the sun's coming up, and let's go, you know. And we did it. You know.
It's true. The last scene we shot was the opening scene between Lou and Casey. That's setting up. That was literally almost 5 a.m. and the sun was about to come out.
Yeah.
And Lou, you were really tired, and it was just literally, the direction was like, can you speak faster?
Yeah. And then it was just, and it looked, you know what? It worked. It worked because it just looks like 2 guys who drank too much wine, bitching and moaning at a bar. You know? So, you know, but we had a ball. We really did have a ball. Honestly, we did. It was a really beautiful night.
Yeah. Cold for LA though, wasn't it?
Cold, yeah.
So what's next for Cooper's Bar? Are you guys working on a second episode, or, you know, shopping it? What's the next step? Obviously, you're hitting the festival circuit, so you know, there has to be some goals with putting this out there and being so brave to share your work, which we're all very much enjoying.
We've got more episodes written, and then this pandemic came along, so we're going, wait, we want to just shoot. We'd just love to shoot them. We need to get Lou back on the West Coast, which I know that he'd love to get on an aeroplane. He'd love to do that, wouldn't he, right now?
Yeah, I mean, whenever we can do it, we're going to do it.
Yeah, and then we've got to find a home for it. We've got to find someone that will air it for us, basically. Yeah.
And do you always see in these 8-minute vignettes, or would you expand it to something a little bit longer? And is it always going to be at the same bar, or will we have a second location?
You know, that's a great question. Yeah, you guys. I mean, I always thought of it. I was so happy with what we did that I was like, okay, whichever direction it goes, it's up to Nick and David, and I'm there when we're ready to go. So I'd be happy with either of those choices.
I have to say, for me, the process of making it has been so fun that you know, sometimes you set out on a creative thing and you're like, I'm going to sell this to Netflix or whatever it is, and you know, you've got this whole scheme. And with this, it's kind of been like, let's make this, you know, let's do this. And, you know, is it fun? Is it still fun? And it's still fun. And, you know, we've got a Bible for the first season, and it feels really exciting to me. Like, there's a real great story here about Lou's character sort of struggling with, you know, this dream he has of, you know, kind of excelling in his career as an actor. And then also this fantasy he has of, one day actually being proprietor of his own bar. And over the course of, and that dream is a little bit of a fear-based dream. Like if Hollywood doesn't come through for me, well, here's the thing I really kind of want. And over the course of the season, like both things start to come true for Lou and, or Cooper, sorry, Lou.
It's okay, no, it's fine.
So the character's sort of torn between these two really exciting dreams, and it's funny to see them both sort of clashing in this in the environment of his bar. I mean, we've talked about certainly expanding it for a half hour, and it's really easy to do. There's certainly plenty of material there, but it also really works as a short, and so as a series of shorts. And so I think, I mean, the good news is about as a short series is that like we can keep doing it without needing some giant financier to step in and make our dreams happen for us. And I think that's a really exciting prospect for all of us who are enjoying doing it, to be able to keep doing it and not have to worry about how we're going to make the next episode.
And the thing that David touched on too was my slave of New York side, which LA's been really great to me, and I have really great friends out there. I've fallen in love with the east side of Los Angeles. So I'm playing Cooper from me back in the early 90s, first coming out to Los Angeles and just feeling like I'm on Mars. And now this is that guy, years later, going, hey, man, I got to get out of here, And what do you mean you got to get out of here? You've been here for however many years, and you're still, it's that type of thing. And, I know guys like that. And when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was horrifying in terms of that, and now I've grown to like the place. So it is this me years back, and, it's a version of me and other people in different times in my life. And these guys, Nick and David, hit on it really well. I mean, instinctually really well. So.
Thanks.
No one means to live in LA. We just end up here. Someone asked me how long I've been in LA the other day, and I said, "Oh no, I'm really not." Oh my word! Well, yeah, I moved here in the summer, spring, winter. I don't know. It was sometime last 12 years ago.
Well, I think actually Cooper's Bar may be the future for us all, and the kind of dining out experiences we may have. So this may be a post-apocalyptic piece, depending on while it feels very nostalgic also.
It's funny you say that, because friends of mine in Los Angeles, I'm here in New York, friends of mine have gone down and met at the backyard bar, because there's nothing open. So they've called me here and said, Luke, could we go to your backyard and hang out, and we'll stay 6 feet apart. And so it's being used on a regular basis as we speak.
That's amazing. That's definitely an episode. There's a pandemic episode.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this virtual festival with us, and I hope you can feel through the computer screen how honored and proud we are to have you all in the SeriesFest family, and we are really looking forward to showing you off when this airs. It will, be available for the 6 days over the festival, and yeah, that's it for me. Did anybody have any final words before we wrap up the Q&A?
Hannah, say please.
I know.
No, I just want to say what an awesome cast we had, what a wonderful crew we had, and how everybody just went hell for leather on an all-night shoot. And this is, the sum of its parts is like the people that make it. So we're really grateful to everyone that was involved. And we truly hope to make some more episodes, because this is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, if anything SeriesFest can do to keep this crew together, you guys are, you know, just so natural and generally like just inspiring and innovative. I love it. So congratulations to you
Thank
guys.
you.
And
Thank
we'll keep
Awesome.
the family together, and we'll meet at Lou's Bar.
Yeah, totally.
Anytime. Anytime.
For our next
Thank you so
Q&A.
much.
There. Bye, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
you.